Good Erev Shabbos, Bait family, as we welcome in Shabbat Parashat Bo, the parasha whose word literally means come. On these emotionally powerful days of come home, as we feel the longing of these last 16 months finally bearing fruit and coming to fruition, welcoming home with incredible love and emotion. Those chatufim, those hostages for whom we've been davening, crying out for and praying day in and day out. What extraordinary moments, even with all the complexity that surrounds them. Bo, come home. And in this parasha, there is a remarkable comment of Rav Shimon Schwab that has stayed with me since the moment I read it. After Moshe comes to Paro and Paro summons him after the 9th plague, the plague of Choshech, of darkness, and Moshe pitches at Paro's demand a vision of the Exodus, God hardens Paro's heart, and Paro does not let Bnei Yisrael go. Paro speaks further to Moshe and says, Al tosef ro'ot panai, you won't see my face anymore, because if you see my face again, on that day you will die. And Moshe says, you're right, I won't see your face again. And we expect Moshe in that moment to turn around and storm out and leave Paro. But instead God comes to him and tells him, Od nega echad avi al Paro va'al Mitzrayim, I have one more plague awaiting the Egyptians, the plague of the death of the firstborn. And Moshe, before turning around and storming out, relays that message to Paro. Kachatzot halayla, when midnight comes, God will go forth amongst Egypt, and the firstborn in every Egyptian household will be killed. And then Moshe says to Paro, your servants will summon me and tell me to go forth, and then we will leave Egypt. Vayetze me'im Paro b'charoi af. And Moshe went forth from Paro's presence in white hot and blazing anger, a greater anger than is described at any prior moment from Moshe in the story of the 10 plagues. What made Moshe so angry in this moment? If anything, suggest some of the commentators, it's Paro who should be angry in light of what Moshe just told him. What makes Moshe angry? And Rashi says, it's taking us back a few psukim. Moshe is still mad that Paro told him, you won't see my face anymore, and if you do, you will die. Moshe is furious at the chutzpah of Paro. God stops him and tells him about the 10th plague. Moshe relays it and then picks up right where he left off, storming out in fury at Paro's chutzpah to speak to him in that way. But Rav Shimon Schwab says no. Moshe's anger comes from something different. Not what happened at the end of the conversation after the 9th plague, the Choshech, but what happened just an instant before. Moshe described to Paro the death of the firstborn of every household of Paro's nation. And then he waited for a response. And there was none. Paro's stone-cold indifference to the death of innocent members of his own nation, to the tiny children, angered Moshe beyond imagination. And he stormed out in fury at Paro's indifference to the value of human life of Paro's own people. Says Rav Shimon Schwab, what a lesson. Some leaders don't care about the value of the lives of their own people. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't. Moshe knows what it is to be dehumanized. It was only the compassion of someone from the other side, reaching out to save his life, that gave him the opportunity to be the person that he was. He's able to hold, even in the moments of the greatest oppression and persecution, a sense of the humanity of the innocent life on the other side. What a teaching. In these days and hours when our preoccupation rightly is with the members of Am Yisrael coming home with their safety and security and with the needs of so many in our inner family and those closest to us. Rav Shimon Schwab says, the duty of a member of an Am Yisrael is to be in the mold of Moshe Rabbeinu, Rachamanim. Moshe in the end doesn't protest the 10th plague, but he protests the indifference to it. We dehumanize innocent life on the other side at our own peril, is the teaching of Moshe's anger through the lens of Rav Shimon Schwab. A teaching for us in all times, maybe especially in these times. Shabbat Shalom.